next area is timing. When people are giving speeches, it's important to keep things within a time frame. And so we have a timer that will help us with that throughout the meeting.
Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and most distinguished guests. I will be your timer today. And what that means, just like Beth said, I will be helping those who are speaking or who have a role that we measure time. I will help them with cues when they're about to end their time. So for example, Amy, her speech is 5 to 7 minutes. When she has 2 minutes left, that means at 5, I will say, warning. And then when it's 1 minute left, I said, you're getting close. And when I show the red one, I said, typically, the speaker doesn't need to abruptly end the speech, but it's an indication, wrap it up pretty quick. And if the speaker goes on and on and on, we have a buzzer. So not only we have the cards, but we also have a light in the back, which traditionally that's used for, mainly for during contests. They use lights, they're very sophisticated lights. In this case, our light was produced by our Sergeant of Arms. Our very technical and appreciated member. Okay, table topics. When the person who is responding to a question during the table topics has achieved, and this is different, not expired, but achieved 1 minute, and then 1.5, and then 2. Okay? It's important that the table topics people, and Joe, that goes to you, make sure if you go to table topics, at least speak for 1 minute. You will be in a contest, and you talk for 45 seconds, you will be disqualified. So that's why it's important to at least achieve that. For evaluators, they have 2 to 3 minutes, so that will be 2 minutes incurred, 2.5 incurred, 2 minutes. With that.
Next, I just want to bring Tanya up for just a second here. She has some announcements to make.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests, thank you for coming today. The last 2 weeks we had speech contests. 2 weeks ago we had an international speech contest and we had 2 winners. Last week we had an evaluation contest with 2 winners. And I have brought their gift cards that they won, which I forgot the last 2 weeks. I also am awarding a gift card to the member who brought the most guests. However, I have 2 guests here that I don't know who they are and how they got here. So what I would like to do just before we start the meeting is, could you tell me your name and how you heard about our club?
Erin Williams,
Yeah.
from Supply Chain, and Sarah.
Oh, Sarah now is in the running, is in the lead with 3 guests. And?
Peter Rice also from Supply Chain.
Oh
Sarah.
boy, okay, all right. I don't want to delay the meeting, so in case you have to leave, you can see a flavor of what happens. I know some people have to leave early, but Sarah is the clear winner of the member who brought the most guests. So Sarah, if you could please come down and get It's $10 to Target. Thank you very much. Come on in, don't worry. And just for our winners, we have a gift card for Joe. He won in the evaluation, and so did Deanna Constance. And for our international speeches, Amy and Amit, they also won. So think about it. And I have one more. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get on with the speeches here. So the first speech we have today is Amy Roberts. She's going to be doing a speech called The Summer of 1988. And this she's doing as a competition and she wants to practice. So we welcome all of your feedback. So
Exit your car slowly. My mother is at the driver's wheel. I am the passenger next to her. The voice comes again. Driver, exit your car slowly. It's the police, stern, strong, with instructions. Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmaster, distinguished guests, welcome. It's summer of 1988. We've been living in the state of Nevada for about 2 years, and my mother, my father, and I are moving back to the Midwest. Now, during the 2 years out in the state of Nevada, I have turned the ripe age of 16, and I have decked out my style during that time frame. So, 1988, I teased my hair out to about double its actual size with curls and teasing. I have shoulder pads on my pastel pink shirt, which are big enough to use really as pillows. And I've got the 1988 version of skinny jeans, acid washed. It's beautiful, like totally red. Now, I'm very excited about this move because of course we're driving from Nevada to the Midwest. And that's an adventure in itself, but not only that, but I get to drive the family car. And now the family car, my family has a bit of a reputation for living on the wild side. The family car is not a sedan that sits in the garage. My family car is a 1988 steel blue, smoking hot, T-top roofed IROC Z28 Camaro. You don't just drive this car, you drive this car. So the day of the move arrives. We've packed up everything we didn't sell into the back of the semi-trailer truck, which my dad will be driving in the lead. My mom and I are to follow in the car. My dad takes off, and somewhere outside of Salt Lake City, Utah, this side of Salt Lake City, Utah, my mother's driving at the wheel and notices a police car lingering behind. After a few miles, on her best behavior, she decides perhaps it's a good time to stop at the nearest gas station. We can fill up with gas. It's been a while, we'll take a break, and we'll ditch this cop that's lingering back there. So it's 1988. There's no cell phones. What we do is we maneuver ahead of my dad in the truck, which is the signal for we're going to take the next exit, which we do. There's a gas station. My mom and I pull up to the pumps in the front. My dad, driving the big 18-wheeler, pulls up to the pumps around the back where the diesel fuel is. And as my mom and I pull up to the pumps, we hear the voice. Driver, exit your car slowly. We're surrounded. There's police cars all around us. I can't see any police officers, just the car and the voice. The second time, driver, exit your car slowly. It's at this point my mom lunges across to the glove box and pulls out a handgun. No, she didn't. But I asked her, because of this wild side, is there something you need to tell me, Mom? Because it's plausible that there could be something she really needs to tell me at this moment. But no, what she does is she follows the police instructions and she exits the car slowly. As she does so, she gets further instructions to the point where she is on the car in said position. I begin to get instructions as the passenger of the car to exit slowly. So acid-washed skinny jeans emerge first, then the hair, and I too have instructions about how to stand. And the questioning begins to occur with my mother. What's the first question? The questioning with my mother, oh, they run there, what's your name, right? They capture her name, Diana Lynn Muller. They run that name and they find there's warrants out for the arrest of Diana Lynn Muller. Well, through further analysis, it's a different Diana Lynn Muller than my mother, so thank goodness for that. The other question they're asking is, very simply, what is your current address? It's not the address on your driver's license? Well, no, I'm moving. We don't live there anymore. But what's your current address that you're moving to? Well, I don't know. Suspicious. Not only that, but let's remember it's 1988. We sold all our stuff, and there's no such thing as online banking. So when you make a move, you take all your money out of the bank, you put it in your purse. My mom's got a stash of cash in her purse. Funny that the reason they stopped us is for suspected bank robbery. The car fits the description, you know, the car. There is a sports car, that was the getaway car, gray, blue, Nevada plates, what are the odds, and 2 individuals in the car. We fit the description, except for perhaps my hair, shoulder pads, and acid wash. So rad. So after about 30 minutes of analysis and questioning, they do get down to the point that they realize we are not the bank robbers that they are looking for. Now, one question that occurred to me through all of this is, where is my father? He pulled up, remember the backside of the gas station? Well, when he was done pumping his gas, he walked into the gas station, heard all the scuttlebutt going on, and when I finally wondered where he was, looked at the gas station, here's his face pressed up against the window with a dozen or so other people. He never came out. We were left to go on our merry way. The move after that, uneventful. I retained my sense of luxurious style. I will never forget the car. I will never forget that move that summer, and I will never ever forget the voice. Driver, exit your car slowly.
Very entertaining. So now we have a minute, if you would, for the timer, for you to jot down an evaluation for her. A minute for our eval. The next person to speak will skip Melissa. She has been unable to come, so we'll move right on to Julie. Julie is speaking on the Confident Communicator. She's doing her icebreaker, so she's just starting into the role of giving speeches here, so let's welcome her. She's looking for about 5 minutes for her speech.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters and visitors, thank you. The name of my speech today is One Big Boy. 53 years, 3 days, and approximately 2 hours ago, my mother had a big surprise. When she was pregnant, she kept getting bigger and bigger, and she kept telling her doctor, I think I'm going to have twins. But the doctor kept saying, no, you're just going to have one big boy. So finally she delivered, and she was in the recovery room, and the scuttlebutt from the nurses was that a lady over there had twins. Well, apparently her doctor didn't have a stethoscope or ultrasound because she did have twins, but she didn't realize it because she had so much ether that she kept waking up and thinking they were talking about somebody else. So finally she woke up and she realized that she was the only one in the room, and that's how she learned that she had twins. So to prove it, I brought a picture of my twin and I. It's an old picture, but just had to bring through. Quite an old picture, but so being a twin is one of the best things I could ever ask for. It's in my case, it's been a wonderful thing. So today I'm going to tell you about 2 ways that we're alike and 1 way that we're very different. So one way we're alike is that when we went to college, my twin sister knew for sure that she wanted to be a nurse. In fact, she knew even from grade school she wanted to be a nurse. But I wasn't sure what I wanted to be. I thought I would be a professional basketball player, but that didn't work out. So I decided that I would major in education. I wanted to be a teacher and a coach. So I took a couple of semesters of that, but then I went home on spring break or something, and my dad was on the school board, and he said, you know, I don't think you should be a teacher because teachers don't make a lot of money. So I said, okay. So he said, I think you should be an accountant. So I went back and changed my major to accounting, and I took a couple of semesters, but it was a small private school, and so we had small classes. And I was in an accounting class with my brother-in-law. And the second semester of accounting, he said in front of the whole class, Julie, I don't know why you want to be an accountant. You can't even figure your own checkbook. I have a hard time about that to this day, but he was right. So finally, I decided to major in psychology. So I majored in psychology, and I went to graduate school, and I was working on a master's in psychology, but I had a really good friend that died from cancer, and so I decided I wanted to go into medicine. So I applied to Wichita State PA school, and went there, graduated in 1987, and then I came to Vail and worked, and except for 1 year when I went home for a year, I've been here since. Well, interestingly, my twin sister all this time has been a nurse, and 2 years ago, she decided to go back to school and become a nurse practitioner. So in May, she'll graduate from school. And so we both ended up in almost the same career, we just took different paths. A second way that we're alike is we both have adopted children from Cambodia. My twin sister and her husband had 3 biological children, and she didn't want me to tell this part, but I have to. Her husband had a vasectomy, and she cried the whole time in the waiting room. And so she finally convinced him to adopt. It took about 6 years, and they prayed about it, and he did adopt. And so when she adopted it, they adopted their first one, and she said, "Julie, you should think about it." And I said, "No, I want to wait and get married." So then they adopted their second one, and by then I was actually working in reproductive endocrinology and infertility here at Mayo. So I started seeing women my age that couldn't have kids, and I thought, I could get married, I might not be able to have kids. So I adopted my daughter Madison in the year 2000. It was the best decision I ever made in my life. And then they adopted a child 6 months later, so that's the second way that we're alike. So you might think by now we're pretty identical, but there's one way we're different: sports. As I said, I thought I was going to be a professional basketball player, but when that dream didn't come true, I used to practice in the driveway before school every day. Even in high school, I practiced at 6:30 in the morning, but I finally realized I wasn't going to be a professional basketball player. But I'm a big sports fan, and I know a lot about football, and my twin sister, she doesn't know the difference between a quarterback and a cornerback. So she likes to watch basketball a little bit, but last Sunday, I don't know if any of you watching the men's NCAA tournament, but I'm a Wichita State alumni, and they played the KU, and they haven't played in 22 years, and it was a big game, and Wichita State won. So I was so excited, but I was exhausted after the game, and I was just cheering so hard. So I called her and I said, "Jan, how are you guys doing?" And she said, "Good, we're really happy." And I said, "Well, is anyone in your house really into the game?" And she said, "Julie, nobody gets into the game like you do." I guess, it's good that there's just one sports fanatic in our family. In conclusion, I'm so glad that my mom had twins. I'm glad there were not one big boy.
Give us 1 minute for evaluation. All right. Normally we have the 3 speeches. As long as we don't have that, we have another area, the table topic part. And our topic master today is going to add a few extra questions in there just to kind of involve different people. I think as long as we've got just a few minutes, could we go around, and those of you that are coming as just guests, would you mind saying who you are and where you work? There's a couple of you that we've already done, but can you just go around, anybody that is coming new?
My name's Sam Marsland. I'm a student at the Mayo School of Sciences with Tom in the Doctor of Anesthesia program. Before that, I worked at Mayo for 17 years, most recently up in the trauma ICU over at St. Mary's.
We have Ahmed coming up here to be our table topic.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmaster, and distinguished guests, table topic is what you're looking for. You are in a situation where suddenly they ask you a question, how's the day and what do you do different? And you're thinking, I didn't attend the high nooners, Toastmaster class where they talked about it. So this is going to be on that. Nobody here can escape. So if you're thinking sitting comfortably that you'll escape, that's not going to happen. Including Joe, you're looking very, very busy. So why is table topic important is it's an extempore thing. You say whatever you want. In fact, I was listening to a speech where they said the graveyard is full of people who never fulfilled their dreams. So if you want to look at diamonds and golds and things like that which have not been dug for, you'll only get bones there because all their talent went down. So high nooners, we have a saying going that whatever comes in your mind, please talk about it. Let it out of your heart. Because no point restricting yourself. This is the best place to practice your speeches. This is the best place to try out new things. So with that, I'm going to have Kaylee come. And I'm going to make the topic just a very general. So how do you, when you're thinking about giving a talk, what are the kind of topics you're looking at, and what are the things which you want us to know? And others keep thinking about it, because I'm going to ask you almost a similar question. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. I'm Kaylee. And when I'm creating a speech, the things that I usually think about is, number one, how am I going to condense my speech? Because I feel like that is one of my hardest areas for me when I'm writing a speech, and then also when I get critiques on my speeches, is that I include too much information within the speech. The general rule in Toastmasters is to try and give 3 points throughout the speech. That way people can remember your speech and they can follow along with you and you're not hopping all over the place. So that's number one, is how do I condense it down to what I really want to say. Number two is how to appropriately use humor, because I feel like most of my speeches they have some little elements of humor in them, and so I try and just make it fun. And also, when I get really excited, I talk really fast, so I have to make sure that when I'm doing that, I'm not speeding up. And the third thing is I usually try and pick a story that I think is really fun or interesting about myself, because if I think it's a funny speech and I think that I can deliver it in a good way, then the people listening to me will probably enjoy it.
Thank you, Kaylee, for mentioning about the story. It's one of the least used tool which we have, whether you're in supply chain. Actually, supply chain, you've got lots of stories. Right? We get a lot of stories. I mean, there's the best way to talk about a point, make a point, or get something home is a story. But the thing about a story, which I learned from one of my mentors, is don't leave a story, just tell a story and it just flows away. You start from zero, come up, you have all this up. When you conclude, let the audience learn something new, which they didn't know when they started. So always when we strive for a story, we strive to learn something new, a point or two. Now with that, Tom, you're a pretty serious guy when I see you talking, and I know you're thinking about adding some humor in your talk. Tell me what you're looking for when you're thinking about adding some humor. What are the kind of things which excites you and makes you fun?
Mr. Table Topics, and Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, guests. What do I think of, or how do I incorporate humor into my speeches? As many of you know, I suffer with this right now because my speeches, especially my last one, was pretty serious. Part of what I'm trying to do right now is, I'm a comedy person. I like going to Goonies. I like going and watching Dana Carvey and stand-up acts, Brian Regan. And then at the gym with Sam and a couple other friends, we always talk about silly movies like Dumb and Dumber and Knocked Up. Movies that, I don't know, bring a laugh. And so I'm trying to incorporate themes from what these people do, and it's not working very well. So, I don't know. The way I'm going to try to address it is just try to tell more jokes, try to see what these people are doing differently. It's great at this club because they have video taping, and so you can actually go online and watch your speeches afterwards and see where your movements are, see what you're doing wrong, and work there to try to improve.
Actually, humor is a must. As you heard our president give a talk, most of the time Toastmaster talks, even the most serious talks, have humor. So we had a workshop kind of thing talking about humor. In fact, I heard a talk about, I heard about somebody said, I had roommates who were worse than Dumb and Dumber. So the kind of things you're saying. And I've heard people talk about different things. The only thing about humor is if it is depreciate it. If you're using it towards yourself, you're going to always get the audience response. The humor should apply to everybody and should not hit at some race, gender. So those are the safe territories to stay away from. But there are about 8 or 9 characteristics on how you can introduce humor, like saying things very fast. I did this, you know, or saying some of those Dumb and Dumbers and opposites. Those are the ones which bring about, I saw an Amish with this big Hummer outside Brothers Bar. You know, so something like that which kind of makes up attention. So that's good. Okay. Tanya.
Oh.
Our area governor will look for you for inspiration.
I'm gonna say it first, or, okay, I'll
Tell
leave
me
it.
something which you have practically, you're an area governor, so you're way there, right? In the
No.
mountain,
No.
like Everest or something
No.
like that. That's good.
Okay.
Tell me, how has Toastmaster influenced your life? And what are the take-home messages you've got from it? And how you use it in your daily life and now plan?
Oh, thanks for
Shaking.
giving me a hard one. So here's a cool trick about table topics. You don't have to answer what he just asked me. Because that sounds really hard and meaningful. Holy cow. So, I only joined Toastmasters 2.5 years ago, Ahmed. So and I think I got area governor because I can't say no. So please don't think I know what I'm talking about. I joined Toastmasters because I wanted to be in Toastmasters since I started at Mayo Clinic. Since I first saw the sign, I thought it sounded great. I thought it sounded interesting, but I was too shy to step in the door. And I even, many years after I worked here for 27 years. I started when I was 3. Oh, humor! Just kidding. Okay, I don't have so much time. Darn it! What's my point? Oh, so I put on my appraisal with my manager that I was going to join Toastmasters. That was my professional development goal back in 2001. I joined in 2013. So as you can see, you might think that I'm kind of a person who does things very quickly because I talk really fast, but it takes me a long time to make that big step. So what has Toastmasters done for me is enriched my life substantially. It has enriched my life because of the family of friends that I have made here, though we may not spend a lot of time together outside of this. This is 1 hour a week, 4 times a month, if I can make it that often, which I really rarely do, maybe 2 or 3, where I learned that so many other people are just like me on the inside. When you work at this hard company with a whole bunch of smart people and your little cog part is this big, and some days you feel like you made a really big difference and other days you're not sure. This reminds me that every single person is looking for making a difference. There's so many things we learn about here, and it's such a safe place to be. I don't know if I answered his question, but my time is up.
Whatever you say, Tanya, is right. John, this question is for you. You are one of our newest members, and we've heard you give 2 outstanding talks. Tell me what motivated you to give those talks, how you constructed those talks, how hard were they constructed. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Topping Master, fellow Toastmasters, and distinguished guests. I am a very serious person. And I have to really struggle to use voice inflections and humor, and this is especially for Chris. Actually, no, I am accused of using a dramatic flair, and my first 2 stories, my initial speech told about a hunting accident when I was in college and shot myself in the leg and went through the whole story and of what happened. And yes, I did no major damage and I walked around, but using humor with that and the unexpected, because I started the speech with, and suddenly, or something like, suddenly there was a bang, and I said loudly, and looked at my leg, and got everybody's opinion that way. My second speech was, I traveled with the Drum and Bugle Corps for 2 years and telling about that. I love telling stories, so that was an easy thing for me to do. The hardest thing was the transitions between 3 different points. How do I tie these together, and how do I tie them together that they make sense? And I like the dramatic beginning and ending and tying them together. But Toastmasters has been a great tool for me. I felt I was an accomplished speaker until I came here, and and the table topics actually have helped me a lot. Because sometimes in job interviews you get that unexpected question going, what do I say? And like this, what do I say? So, but actually, from my practices in table topics, went through an interview, was and offered a job, and got some unexpected questions.
So in Mayo, we hold what is called behavioral interviews, where they will put you in a situation. And I was exactly like you. I would tell a rambling story, and they'll ramble and ramble, and 5 minutes would be up, and they would look at me. Till somebody taught me in Toastmaster that use the mnemonic PAR. When you're put in a situation, P is for problem. What is the problem you handle or you were in? A is for assessment. What kind of assessment you did of this problem, which is looking at the right and looking at the left, like the pendulum shifts. And R is your response, is what you find you did. Maybe a middle road between the left and right, or you went left or right, whatever you did. So following these 3 techniques, problem, assessment, response, you can answer any table topic, you can answer any behavioral problem. I have escaped many such tricky situations. The fancy name for now is SBAR, but PAR works good for you. Any other, still going?
I think we'll go ahead and
We'll talk about it.
Okay.
Thank you.
For myself, speaking in front of people is like frightening. So this has been wonderful for me, and the part that I have enjoyed the best is the people. I just, if I don't have to be here, you know, for a role, I want to be here just because they're just fun people to be with, and I think that to hear other people's evaluations, even if it isn't your own evaluation, you get things out of it, and it's just been a wonderful experience. So, with that, we've had our formal speeches, we've had our impromptus, and now the third part that is one of the most important parts of the actual process is the evaluation. Giving feedback to each other in a positive way, but yet to be giving those information that you need to help you to grow. So with that, we start out with our general evaluator, and Joe, if you would come up and
I'd like to say hello to all you guests. It's been a wonderful treat to see that. And the rest of you too. You know, the nicest thing about being a general evaluator is you don't have to do anything. I'm going to live on the beauty of all these wonderful speeches and evaluations. So let's begin with the evaluation. I'm a little bit confused now. The first one is Tom, I guess. So, Tom, could you give us your evaluation?
Welcome again. General evaluator, man Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and most importantly, Amy. You're a very accomplished speaker, and you, along with everybody else here, with the exception of me, has provided immense humor. With such ease that I feel like I'm in like a Dumb and Dumber movie. Not the content of it, but because of my response and my laugh that I associate from what your guys are saying. No, I loved your speech. I thought it was great. The way you tell a story the way you describe your outfit and the powdered up or the spongy shoulder pads is awesome. Your poofed out hair, your jeans, it really gives a great description. I thought this time so this was the second time that you presented it to us, and I thought this time it sounded a little more nervous at the beginning part, where I thought the first time you said, driver, step out of the car slowly, but you repeated it a second time to kind of reinforce the statement. And I thought that added more power to the situation. I also felt like partway through your speech that you felt a little rushed and you didn't incorporate the pauses as long as you had in the previous speech, which kind of made the storyline just keep going and not give us like that little kind of like similar to, so an example would be when your mom reached over for the gun, rather than let us think like, oh my gosh, this is going to turn into like a car chase and guns blazing, you immediately said, I'm just joking. And so maybe a little more of a pause right there. But I don't really have a lot more to critique on. The other, I don't know how professional you have to be at the speech competitions. I was thinking that if you dressed up like you actually did, that might add to the speech. But I'm trying to envision this hair out to here and what these shoulder pads are, which I don't even understand or know. It's like I'm imagining you in like a football outfit. Instead of like the hardcore shoulder pads, they're all soft like pillows. And so that would be my only other suggestion. But I thought the speech was great. Your movements are always very purposeful. You always use great descriptors for like the car. And so I love that. None of that stuff changed from this time until last time. And so I wish you luck. I think you're going to do great in the competition.
Thank you, Tom, for a delightful evaluation. And now for our second evaluator, and which one is it? Ellen. Oh, sorry, Ellen. Evaluators in the two speeches.
General evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and I guess most importantly, Julie. I'm just going to kind of run through the questions that are in the actual Competent Communicator Manual, and just go down the list and kind of go from there. I do have one comment. Tanya, there's no way you can consider yourself as being very shy. I don't believe that for a minute. Anyways, Julie, very nice opening. I think you kind of made us think about, okay, what's this speech going to be about? Just a big boy. Right away, I wonder where she's going with this. I believe you shared a great deal of information about yourself. You didn't provide any, I guess, real scuttlebutt that we could ever use against you. So that was very good. Obviously, I think before the meeting actually started, you were asking me about different tips and that type of thing, and you know, well, actually, this might be the easiest speech that you give here at Toastmasters, just because you know the information. Most people feel pretty comfortable talking about themselves and being able to provide information about yourself. So, but you did a great job there. I thought you were very well prepared, well organized. I thought you had a very good opening body to the speech and then the conclusion. you spoke very clearly, very loudly, very audibly. And I know, just because I know you a little bit from outside of here, that you tend to be pretty quiet. Things you could have done differently, and I have a problem with this one, if you can't tell. I don't use my stage very well, and I would suggest that, you know, try to work on that. That's something that I really have to work on. Use some pauses maybe a little bit more. You were speaking fairly quickly, but try to incorporate some pauses into your speeches. And try to use a little bit more eye contact. I thought you did a pretty decent job of that, but just kind of keep that in mind. But overall, I thought it was very, very good. I enjoyed it, and just a great job.
Thank you for being so methodical. And you certainly used your time. Oh, maybe you didn't see the red light. Well, listen. Thanks for coming. Thank you so much. Wait a minute. We have some more things to do.
Yeah, I think we
Well, how about a report from the mayor?
Hello again, fellow Toastmasters and guests, and Mr. General and Dad Mayor. The word of the day, scuttlebutt, was not used as frequently as I was hoping. Perhaps it was a poor choice on my part, or my husband's part, if we're married. It was used 3 times during the meeting. Tanya used it several times before the meeting even began. She wins. I'll just go through each of the speakers and mention any speech connectors I heard, as well as any impactful phrases or colorful phrases, things that jumped out to me, and probably to you as well, based on the response that I heard. Starting with Amy, you had a few more so's in there than I think you had the first time you presented it, and I don't know if you just were nervous or just a few. I mean, it wasn't a lot. And then you had some nows, and I was kind of debating whether you mention that, but I think it kind of actually helped to connect the area. So if you now this happened next, you know, I think that's okay to do that. So that was good. My favorite phrase was like totally rad, dude. You know, just, that phrase right there just pretty much captures the 80s. Tom probably doesn't realize that, because I don't know if you remember the 80s. Didn't quite get the fashion there. I only counted one otherwise. I think it was very good otherwise. And you used the word of the day. Good job on that. Julie, your first speech, great job there. You had some ums and so's, but you know, it's very natural, especially if not using any notes at all. I was pretty impressed with that. I like the phrase from about becoming an accountant. You can't even configure your own or figure your own checkbook. You know, that's a good thing to point out. And you said that somebody had mentioned that they didn't know the difference between a quarterback and a cornerback. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
A quarterback? I don't even know what the difference is. I wasn't even sure if I was writing that down. Ahmed, as the table topics master, always a good speaker, but I did count some so's in there, so I had something to say. I did like the phrase, you know, in talking about table topics, whatever you're thinking, to let it out of your heart. That can be dangerous sometimes, but good advice. Kaylee, on your table topics, just a couple of so's, you know, good job there. Tom, on your table topics, you mentioned, you had mentioned trying to incorporate these things, and if it's not working very well, and that kind of about the humor. And when you said that, everybody laughed because it's Tanya, you had mentioned at the beginning you couldn't think of what to say because that sounds really hard and meaningful, you know. And when you mentioned that you started work when you were 3, which is probably true, I don't know. And you just had a few so's that I counted. John's table topic, I liked it when you said that you had been accused of using a dramatic flair. You actually had like some dramatic flair when you said that. Just a couple of ums, but in general very good in speech connectors. Joe, And I liked when you started by saying, you know, I'm glad to see so many wonderful guests and the rest of you too. And Tom, again, when you were doing your evaluation, I really enjoyed listening to your backtracking after saying that you were, after listening to Amy, made you feel like you were in Dumb and Dumber. Or anything like that. And when you were trying to describe the 80s style, that really stuck with me because you must be too young to know what the 80s style is.
I was born in '84.
Okay, so you don't remember the shoulder pads and stonewashed jeans. And Al, on your evaluation, good job, just some ums and ahs, but otherwise, that's all I have for the Marion's report.
Thank you for being so meticulous. That's what, thank you very much. Timer. Would the timer like to make a report? Thank you.
Hello again. So, timer's report. Amy took us back to the summer of 1998 in 6 minutes and 36 seconds. Good job. Julie, talking about one big boy, 5 minutes and 2 seconds. For table topics, Hila, you told us about creating a speech in 1:26. And Tom, you told us how you could create humor in your speeches in 1 minute and 23 seconds. Tanya, you really took advantage of, I'm not going to tell what I'm, so you took 2 minutes and 12 seconds because you saw the red light and that's when she said, thumbs up. And John, you told us all about your drama in 2 minutes and 8 seconds. Evaluator Tom, 3 minutes and 15 seconds, and Al, 3 minutes and 8 seconds. Overall, pretty close, pretty good.
Well, I think we have a few more minutes, and I think we can use that to take advantage of the food. Thank you very much.
For just 1 minute, if there's anybody else that has any feedback on Amy. Where she's doing a competition, she was just kind of wanting anything that anybody had specifically for her. Anything in particular? Yeah.
I'd like to piggyback a little bit on what Tom said. I think using pausing a little bit more would be phenomenal, especially like at the end of your speech. You finished your speech and you were off the stage almost before people had time to blink. So just, you know, your closing statement, and just that moment for people to see.
You have 30 seconds more. Actually, you have 1 minute almost, 6 minutes, 32 seconds. You can go up till 7 minutes. I would advise not to, but 7 minutes, 37. I would watch the previous tape, which you did. That was just outstanding.
I ran out of time, so I tried to shorten this one, so there's somewhere in between.
Yeah. So you have enough time. Time
Well,
is not a problem.
you
So
didn't,
can
but
take
you
your
weren't,
time.
you weren't disqualified.
I wasn't, but the red light was on.
Okay,
So I
you
didn't
get
know
30
how
seconds.
close I was.
Oh, okay.
So, that's good.
No, even after the red light is on, you have 30 seconds. So it is, people get very nervous when they see the yellow light and they stop.
And I don't know if we taped it the first time. I think the camera wasn't working. Oh, we did?
I watched it, yeah.
Okay, yep.
You can see the time in that camera, how much you spent. But I think that was,
Yeah, you seemed more, I wrote it down, a little bit more nervous than usual. And it might be the crowd. You were faster than usual. So don't speed it up because your pacing and your volume and your confidence and your calm what really sells that story.
I would add more to the drama of the handgun.
Yes.
It's like reaching and like, you know,
Yeah.
something to that. And you use much more intonation and volume changes when you told it the first time too.
Yep.
And I think everyone in this room would agree, though, it's a fabulous
Yes.
speech. It's a great speech for the competition, so
Yeah.
very excited for you to represent our club. It's very good.
Okay, well, thank you very much. We've got lots of goodies up here. They just have to call it.
We have the room till 1:30, so please eat.
We have some volunteers.